Hey, what's up, guys? This is Dave here, 82 Infinity. It's been a while since I posted any kind of content, so I thought today I'd just make some beats. And if something cool comes along that I could share, maybe even splice into like a separate video, I figure why not? I'll do that too. Just me, 49 SL Mark III, Ableton. Let's just cook up, man. I think I'm gonna start streaming soon too, so I got some cool things coming. I got some new gear coming, so I'm gonna probably start streaming and hopefully be able to upload that content too. But matter of fact, you know what? I know exactly what I'm gonna share today. First things first. If you don't know how to do this, this is a great thing to do. If you chop your samples in Ableton and you want to play them back like an MPC, right? There's a really cool little way you can set this up to where you can assign your chops to the pads or keys, if you will, and have those go into a drum rack, and then have those automatically set to choke and have different parameters are automatically set as well. Let's do that real quick, actually. So let's do this. Let's start with the samples. Let's go over to my splice folder. My splice folder is pretty crazy. I love splice. Shout out to Splice. You guys always hold me down with some cool stuff. Let's just do song starters. We'll search for song starters. And I don't want to take forever to find something to chop, but might as well make it good. That's a good place to start, actually. I like those hits. So if I jump in here, right, and I want to chop my sample. So let's just say I'm going to chop it on the actual hits, right, the main transient hits. So typically, once I do that, I could right click. I could do a couple things. I could put these warp markers here. I could right click and I can choose slice to new MIDI track. And when I do that, I had this in here already, but you could choose a bunch of different options. More importantly, you can choose how you want to create each slice, right? So it defaults to warp marker. You can do quarter note, half note, by bar, transient. Typically, transient will give you a lot of chops automatically because it's every single transient that comes through. Most times you don't want that. But let's just pretend I don't have my preset set already for the Infinity preset, right? So I press cancel. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump back out here and I'm gonna go over and I'm going to go to a instrument. I'm gonna go to drum rack. I'm gonna load a blank drum rack in here, okay? So blank drum rack, and let's get to it. So basically what I wanna do is I wanna have the drum rack, and this works well too if you have like a machine or a grid controller. So it'll basically put these slices, I'm gonna show you how to do this. It'll put these slices over each individual note, which will then correspond to the pads or the keys, right? So I'm gonna go over, load my blank drum rack. I'm gonna grab a sampler and I'm gonna drag my sampler into, I wanna do C1. Come on and drag it in. Cool. I wonder why that took so long. Okay, whatever. I'm not getting to that right now. Cool. So now I have my sampler is in here, right? So first things first, what's going to happen is basically what this is doing is that this is saying that basically every single drum pad will have a sampler attached to it inside the pad and allow me to get a bit more dynamic control over my samples once they're sliced. So I want to set this up though to where I have control over my samples the same way every single time and have it rock out the same way every single time, right? So I'm gonna make this a one shot. I prefer one shot. You can do classic, in which you actually have like to hold the note down and have the actual, attack, sustain, decay, release, that kind of thing. But I'm gonna do one shot. I like to press the pad once and have the sample play through. Now, I also want to make this to where it chokes off when I play another sample, right? So in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and open this up. So let's open this up here. And then you see my chain, my sampler is here, right? I'm gonna click on that, and then I'm gonna go to IO, and you see this sampler is assigned to this note, to receive this note to play it. The choke is on none. That means that it'll play, doesn't have any restrictions on how many different keys or pads you play at one time. I'm gonna say 1 for choke. And let's just say also, I wanna basically have some control over some parameters to tweak my sample on the fly to make things sound a bit better. So nothing wrong with having more robust control over each slice. So I enjoy that. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up the macro. I'm gonna show my macros here. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to map all 8 of these macros to different controls here, right? So I'm gonna go to map, enable that, and then I'm going to choose some of the controls I want. So some of the main controls I think that I tend to have and like to have the ability to adjust. It will be, let's see, I want to be able to adjust the volume for sure. So we'll add volume here. And you do that by simply clicking on the parameter and then choose map on the control. I'm gonna wanna also be able to transpose this as I see fit. So I'm gonna map it here. I'll probably want to be able to adjust fade in and fade out. So let's do that here as well. Actually, we'll do it here. Fade in, we'll do fade out here. And let's see, typically I like to have my filter off, but let's just say if I want to be able to adjust what kind of filter I have, right? So it could be high pass, band pass, or low pass. I'm gonna click on this and then I'll map it to my filter type. And then let's go ahead and also map my filter frequency here as well. And then I have 2 more controls. If you're doing records, perhaps you might want to detune it. So let's go over to controls. Let's find detune. Detune should be somewhere in here. Where's detune? Detune, bam. So we'll detune it, and that'll give you the ability, because you know transpose or transpose will take a whole step up, whereas detune will give you those small little semitones in between one full step. And then for the final one, you know what? Let's throw spread on here. Or actually, yeah, why not? Here, we'll throw spread on here. So we'll go to spread. And that allows you to give yourself a bit more stereo imaging to your sample. Be careful with that, just because it can cause some phasing issues and cause some things to like cancel out. When you spread this out a bit wider on the sample side, you're probably better off doing some spreading in the overall mix of your record. But some samples, though, feels a little nice when you spread it just a little bit. So we'll throw that in, right? All right, cool. So we'll turn map off and we'll jump back. So right now we're set so that way every single sampler that goes to every single pad will have all these 8 parameters automatically set to control, right? In this case, I'm gonna do one more thing, because when I set this up and I slice my sample here, it's gonna default to this. I'm gonna turn off my volume to velocity, right? I'm gonna turn this off because when dealing with playing back chopped samples, like, you know, and you're taking like pieces of a record or, you know, things that are formed in chords, most times you don't want to have the velocity sensitivity there. Typically you'll see that more so when you are doing like, you know, chopping drum breaks, or you're chopping up a bunch of different, you know, one-shot hits from like, you know, from like drums or stuff like that. So in this case, I'm gonna turn that off. All right, and I think we're good, dare I say. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to now go and I want to save this, and I want to set this up to where I can choose this as my slicing type when I slice my sample. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and save it, and I'm going to name this, we'll name this slice demo, right? Fine. Okay. So slice demo. Now, what I'm going to do is instead of saving this here, okay, under drum rack, I'm going to, let me just actually, before I do that, I'm gonna go and open up defaults. So let's just save it for now. I'll save it, it's saved, okay? I'm gonna go and let's pretend this is all collapsed. So I'm gonna go to user library, then I'll go to presets, because that's where my presets are. Under drum rack, my slice demo is here. I'm gonna open up defaults, okay? Open up slicing. I have my preset already, one that I made before, but I'm gonna open that up, and then I'm gonna go back over to my presets real quick, and I think I can hold control for this. Control this. I'll click, I'll drag it, and then I'll bring it up to defaults, and then defaults, it'll be by itself here. I'm gonna click and drag this and put this in the slicing. So now this preset is in my slicing preset, and this is will be an option given to you whenever you slice anything. So now if I jump over here, let's say pretend I don't have this anymore, I'll get rid of it. I have my sample, I threw my warp markers on it, right? I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna go ahead and choose slice to new MIDI track. I'm gonna go create one slice per. I'm gonna choose warp marker, which will give me 5 slices. I'm gonna then go to the slicing preset. Instead of built in, I'm gonna drop it down. I'm gonna choose slice demo. And you can click on, you can keep preserve warp timing on if you like to warp your samples and have those warp to the tempo and have that stretch accordingly. Leave it on. I like mine's on, or you can have it turned off and then adjust later on, but we'll just say okay. And now, as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slices, okay? And you can see I have my controls are already laid out here, and I should be able to do this. I can play 2 at one time, right? It'll choose one. Right, perfect. I can turn my volume up. Way too loud. And these are universal. So these are all universal controls as well. So these will apply to every single slice here. I'm gonna go ahead and adjust my transpose. Cool, perfect. I can change my filter type. So now my filter, you can see it changing. I'm gonna go on my low pass. I'm sorry, my high pass. Dial it back. Cut some low end off. Perfect. And just like that. So now you can save this whenever you have your whenever you slice up your samples. You could actually have this laid out MPC style. Also, a really cool thing to do as well is if you go to if you have a controller that will control this. If I press in control and I'm over on my actual instrument here. In this case, I'm on the SL. I'm in control mode, which controls the actual effects in the DAW. You can see now all my parameters are here on my screen. I can now mess with this on the fly. Fade in, fade out. Change my filter type. Right there on the fly, and you're good to go. Hope you guys like that. You know what I'll do? I'll even also drop that file. I'll drop that preset in the link description, in the video description, excuse me, should I say. That way you follow along. You can always have a backup or change your own parameters, but it'll be like the slice demo preset for slicing your samples. Hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, stay focused, be good to each other. Peace. Let's make some beats now.